Welcome to another episode of Life Design Diaries, where Lucy and I share simplified knowledge to help you live a fulfilling life on your own terms. Now, if you've ever found yourself wanting a business, but you just don't have the idea yet, then this interview is for you. Andy Jefferies from Dock and Bay tells us his story of how he struggled to find his business idea, how he eventually found it, and then the rapid journey that has now led him on. This journey includes quitting his corporate career, going traveling, and eventually arriving at Dragon's Den, which for our American listeners is very, very similar to Shark Tank. Dock and Bay's first product was the original quick-dry beach towel, and with a polished pitch and a beautiful brand, they not only secured Deborah Meaden as a new business partner, but they grabbed the attention of the public and sold over 60,000 units in only 48 hours. Another person's attention they captured was mine, and so that's why I'm particularly excited to share with you my conversation with Andy Jefferies. Okay, Andy, welcome to our show.
How you doing?
Yeah, very good. And you?
Very good, thank you.
Awesome. Now, I've got to start in the place where I first even heard about Dock and Bay, and that is with Dragon's Den.
Okay.
So, can you tell me how you felt as those lift doors were opening and you were about to go and meet the dragons?
So me and Ben, my Australian business partner, he flew over a couple of days before from Australia, and we started properly. We stayed in the hotel a few days before near the studio, and sort of learned all the questions, everything, learned the script, and we were, although we were a bit up and down, we had it nailed.
Yeah.
And we get picked up at 6 a.m. in the morning from the producers from our hotel on the day, and they say, "Oh, you guys are actually going to be on about 3:30 p.m." So we've then got a 7-8 hour wait, and
where'd you wait?
Just in they had a show, I don't know what you call it, in
a green room.
Yeah, a green room. That's
right.
The one, the fancy one. They did a bit of makeup and stuff, and we had a few pre-interviews, but mainly we're just sitting there waiting for everything to happen.
Yeah.
And as that was happening, I think you just overthink, the nerves build up. You have time to really dwell on where you are.
Yeah, I bet for that
you see people going in and out, and from there you start to hear how people might have done, and you sort of hear some rumours, and it started to build up, and then it gets 8 hours later, and they go, "Right, guys, you're on," and we just lost it. Ben, who was much more practice on it than me, you could tell he just lost it. And we had a last little practice, and it wasn't good. We'd been literally nailing it all day, still good. Last little practice, both fluffing our lines. Ben looking pretty white, me what are we gonna do here? Because for me, I'm quite public speaking. I quite like being in front of people. Ben, Ben's not as keen to sort of be in that space.
Yeah.
But we both just sort of went, "Oh wow, this is happening." So we get in that lift, and it's just that classic fear of the unknown, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I was very nervous. My face just went redder and redder over the course of it. But we came out, and do you know what? The initial speech did really well. It went down well, and it ran 95% smoothly. I
was going to say, it seemed okay.
Yeah.
From what
I think they edited one of our mistakes actually, which they don't usually do, but they edited it out. And then after that, it was very much we could relax, because that was the only bit you have to learn the scripted.
Yeah.
The other stuff's just answering questions, and it's, if you know your business, you know your business. But the scripted bit for us, we're not actors or anything like that. So that was the real nerve-wracking part to get past.
Yeah. And how long did it take?
We were in there for an hour and a half. So obviously they show you about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We were in there for an hour and a half, and they do they definitely showed the small part where we messed up. They really dwelled on that and made sure it was a bit dramatic, just
what
to make
part?
sure.
So,
it was just, they asked us a question about what our wholesale business, what percentage
of course
was wholesale,
yeah,
and I just looked at Ben. I was like, "I don't know. Do you know?" And he was like, "No idea." And then Ben made up a figure which actually is pretty accurate, and
they dramatized it.
Yeah, they dramatized it. Of course they did. They moved on straight away, but on the show it looked like it was a long awaited pause. But fair play. It went well. I mean, we got I had an event in London got a cinema out, like rented a small cinema and got all my family and friends. It was the first time I'd seen it like edited and stuff.
Oh,
so I had no idea how they were going to show it. And it was, I was like kind of shaking in the corner. I was more nervous then, my friends seeing it than being in.
And how do you feel? Yeah, looking back on it, how do you feel when you watch it?
I don't know. It's okay. Like I think I'd probably expect it to be more cringe. Actually, we held ourselves okay, but I'm okay watching back. I wouldn't say I do it much, but occasionally people watch it that like have just met me and stuff in front of me, and I sort of look from afar. But it's quite cool. I'm quite proud of it. I think we did ourselves proud, and it has been a big part of how our business has grown from there as well.
Yeah, and what has the effect of that been?
I mean, overnight, I think in like 48 hours, we sold like 6,000 units. We cleared out like 2 warehouses, and I think we used up like our next 2-3 months stock in a day, 2 days, in like 2 days. We obviously did have some extra stock, but we had to like fly extra stock in, so which was awesome. Great for us. Probably will have accentuated our September results when we try and compare year for year this year. But it's that was an incredible experience, and then that dies down, like the initial, like everyone knows of your product from Dragon's Den. But now what it does is it creates advocacy. We've got Deborah on board. She's very, she's very powerful in that she's a investor that is strongly regarded. Yeah. So it just adds advocacy. People come on our site, they see we've been on there, they see we've got a nice product, and it just allows people to buy into the brand a lot easier. It allows retailers to buy into us as well.
Yeah. I've seen you've got it quite loudly on your website.
Yes, it's like a whole section, and I don't think we'll take that off for the foreseeable future. We don't put it in marketing. Some people put it in marketing for years. Yeah. We don't do that actually. We think, we want to be known for us as a brand, not for Dragon's Den. But when you go on the site, it is part of our story, and we do want people to hear about it.
Yeah, why not? So let's go right back then to when the concept was even born. How did you come up with Dock and Bay? So
I've spent my life always wanting to have my own business, and from when I was quite young, I always had that sort of that drive. I used to go and sit with my dad on a Saturday in his recruitment business, and just sort of sit, and I'll just be playing games on his computer, but I'd be a part of his world. Yeah. And see how hard he worked.
And what did he do?
So he actually had a recruitment business. So that's sort of how he built up his life, which he sold off a few years back and retired. But so I'd always been around that, and I think that always drove me a bit to want to have my own business. And when I left university, when I was going to university, I wanted to have my own business, but I wasn't at the stage to build one. Like I didn't really have any ideas. I just wanted that thing. Yeah. And so I ended up going to banking after like university, and I was driven by money. And that's the honest fact. I was driven by money, and that's why I went into the role. I wasn't really driven by what the job will provide me or what something that interested me in banking. But I quickly realized, like 2-3 years in that world, and a couple of promotions and a really good salary, and money wasn't making me happier. And I think I still had this drive to start my own business. Yeah. And so I started to really like think deeply about how I could change my current situation. I looked at changing into startup world and all these sort of things, but still nothing quite just like sat with me. And I know it's always sounds like a first world problem, but I was in a really nice financial place. My friend, I was doing really well. My friends were also in good positions. I could live a nice life. So going and dropping 20-30k to like a startup to go and work in something that was like really interesting, it did scare me. Like I hate to say it, like I hate to say that I wasn't willing just to make that jump. Yeah. And so, the places I kind of wanted were also like a lot less salary, and I found it hard to, I've had to have changed flat and downsize. And
what was your thought process of going into a startup scene? Just to experience
to others? Because I figured if I live and breathe it, then it might inspire me.
Yeah. So you were looking for inspiration.
So that was happening, yeah. And then as that was happening, I was also always talking to friends. Like I remember like one of my best mates, I said, let's meet up every Sunday and start talking about ideas. So we did it a few times, and it just never gelled in a way, because he was my best mate. Like the working thing just didn't quite work it just didn't happen. Yeah. And Ben, who I worked with, who we got on really well with, he was away for a while. He did a 3 months trip away, and I just said to him, mate, it's miserable here. I really don't want to, I do want to change. Like, when you get back, let's try and set up a business together. Just as like a passing comment. And we both were like, yeah, let's do it. And then as soon as he got back, I spoke to him and we were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it. So every Tuesday we'd meet up, start meeting up as a ritual. We'd usually get like, some alcohol, as a curry, and we just start like bashing ideas together. We came up with like apps, a lot related to travel, which was our passion, like travel apps.
So a real kind of like forced process.
Yeah, it was quite forced. Like, do you know what? It used to frustrate me a bit when I was at work that I used to be very open about the fact that I was always going to give my best to the job, but I didn't really want to be there. And I've always thought if sometimes it takes that opportunity to like push yourself in a corner to really achieve, or be pushed into a corner either way. But like, I thought if I push myself into this corner and make it quite clear that, I was like, I don't really want to be at the next level anymore. I don't want to fit the mold to be at the next level. I do want to have my own thing. And I was quite clear about that. And it did make me, it gave me a limit in that company, which is actually really good. And but what happened was people would be like, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, I want to set my own business up. They're like, what's your idea? And I'd be like, I don't have an idea. And then people would just like almost frown at you, like you have to have an idea to want to have your own business.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not true. Like, you don't even have to have a topic. Like, it can when it comes, it comes. And when you get passionate about something, it can be anything. It obviously hugely helps if it's something. Ideally, it needs to be something you can be passionate about. Like, if it was about dog food, then maybe I'd struggle to get passionate about it. But I was always a bit frustrated that people had that mentality of like, if you don't know what the idea is yet, then why are you saying you want to have your own business?
Because that's quite commonplace, isn't it? That people say it's born from a passion, and actually the typical story is that you just had a passion for it, and then all of a sudden you started, and then you realized it was a business. Yeah. Whereas you completely started the other, and I get what you're saying, 100% of like not starting with the passion, actually trying to.
And do you know what? Like, I used to get a bit frustrated as well because I never felt I had passions, and I think you look at people that like passionately follow football, or they passionately follow.
Well, that's the thing,
various things like that, and I never had that. I never really got behind anything apart from having fun with my mates, which is an obvious one. Like, that's surely everyone's passion in a way. And then stuff like traveling. But I almost never regard it as a passion because it's just like something really fun to do.
It's what everyone likes.
It's not as keen for everyone to travel to new places. Traveling to some people is just going on like a all-inclusive holiday. Yeah. But like traveling, seeing new places. That's what my real passion was. New experience, new people.
Which a lot of our listeners, to be fair.
Of course, I mean, and a lot of people are in this generation like that. Exactly. I think that's why we do so well as a company, because our product is all about being compact, easy to use, very convenient, which you can take anywhere anywhere and easily.
Yeah.
And that's a generation that aren't as bothered about the expensive Rolex anymore, and they rather get a nice affordable product that they can go and have an experience with.
Yeah.
And it's part of their experience. It's not some thing to make themselves look super flash kind of thing. Because I'm materialistic. Like, it's I don't ever wear like some super fancy Rolex or aspire to like super fancy car or anything. Like, I just want to live a good life, have a lot of fun, and run a cool business that's successful, really.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so you meet every Tuesday?
Met every Tuesday, and just cracking through ideas. Like we worked in digital in the bank, so we had all these little different ways of working and coming up with ideas, and we'd sort of use them we'd actually use a bit of those skills. I've kind of forgotten them now, but a lot of post-its on the wall. A lot of that sort of thing. Eventually, it would end up in one of us like passing out because we just had too much to drink. Just because, it was actually like it was funny because as we had a few more drinks, the ideas would get a bit funnier and random. But that's kind of what allowed it to sort of level out in a way. You had the sort of ridiculous ideas, you had the tamer ideas, you had the middle ideas, and me and Ben used to have a funny thing where we used to say, right, no idea is a bad idea. So then if anyone came up with something a bit rogue, we'd be like sarcastically be like, thank you, that was a really good idea. just really used to play on it like that. Yeah. So we just had a bit of fun with it. It was a weekly thing. We looked forward to it, and it'd be something to Ben lived quite close to work, so we'd go over there. I'd stay in his spare room, and we just crack heads together and see what happened, really.
Yeah. And how long did you do that for?
before we settled on towels, maybe 4 weeks. Ben had sort of touched on it a bit, but he hadn't really told me more about why. But eventually, he started to like actually present it to me. Like, when he first said it, I was a bit like, as you say about passions. None of us have had a passion about towels our whole life. I mean, we use them daily, but we have, I didn't grow up going, I absolutely love drying myself. This is incredible. But I think, it came to me, and then he started to explain how he'd used Amazon, and he'd looked at what's popular selling products on Amazon. And then he'd looked at these quick drying towels that he noticed sold really well. And he didn't really understand why, but for whatever reason, they sold really well. And there was 2 or 3 of them in the top 100 on the sports section of Amazon. And he was like, but they're all boring. They're all not very nice to feel. And they're all, they're all in nasty packaging. And he was like, surely we can change that. So I started to buy into it. And he'd got a designer in India on one of these online tools to mock up what a towel might look like, and a bit of a pouch for the towel and stuff like that. So the initial sort of early days vision came from him, and then I think...
Well, and that was before you kind of agreed.
Yeah, because Ben
he wanted to sell it to you.
I think one of the reasons I picked Ben out from memories and said let's do this is because he had some little mini. He's quite technical, Ben. Yeah. He had some sort of mini techie consultancy businesses that he'd run on an evening.
Okay.
So I knew he had that thinking. So he was always thinking of and actually sort of starting to just design up new ideas.
Yeah.
Ben's 4 or 5 years older than me. He was almost that slight step ahead, that he was actually having he was getting the designs and stuff done, but I suppose he had no one to get behind it with him.
Yeah.
So when he came to me, I was like, that's actually really interesting. I said, me and Ben are different people. We have a different way of thinking. I said, Ben wanted to just sell it as an Amazon product, just as something, sell a product, fine, make some money.
Yeah.
I said, look, this is potentially a really cool idea, but for me to get behind it and be passionate about it, I want to create a brand, and it will also create longevity to it. So I was like, if we create a brand behind this, and also make the seems silly now, but make the horizontal stripes you currently have on your designs vertical, then I'm in. And then and we went from there really. It took me a while to sort of go to the next level and be willing to hand over more money and things like that. It took just mentally, because Ben had savings. Mine would have had to come from a bank, from a loan. And I think, from there he just tempted me with. He was like, well, look, his theory, which is almost definitely flawed, was if we buy the product and we can't sell it, people won't buy it, then at least we can just sell it at cost price. Surely people are going to buy a towel if it's £3-4. And then,
So no risk.
And then there's no risk. And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. Let's put money behind it. And here we are. We also, funny enough, we set it up, we were going to use it to raise money to go and build an app.
Oh, really?
And then, again, the non-business minds we had at the time were realised a few years later, well, actually, if something's doing well and there's momentum, you're not just going to run down the stock and go, okay, that was good. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So I suppose our kind of naive thinking at the time. Really.
So how was it? Was there any conflict for you in the fact that it wasn't your idea? Because you were the guy who wanted the business, but it wasn't your idea.
No, not at all. I mean, I think stuff like that all depends on who you are and who you work with. I think Ben, it would have been a bit funny if Ben would have started going, my idea, I'll get 60%, you get 40%. And we wouldn't work. I've spoken to a few friends since, and I was like, if you ever bring someone on board, you ever work with someone, make it even, because otherwise, in those early stages, because otherwise you're just working off an uneven playing field. And people talk about problems with relationships with founders, especially if they're friends. And if one of you got 60%, one of you got 40%, it's just it's going to cause problems.
Always something there.
So don't think of the here and now of let's fight over 10%. Think of you're a team and you're going in this together, and your business is worth absolutely nothing until you sell it. So, if you're going to come off from an uneven playing field and not be a team, then you're, in my view, you're on the back foot from the start. If you're going in like that from the start and you're both putting your all into it, for me, it's not the right. It will cause problems down the line.
Yeah. So at what point did you decide to go? Because you're still at the bank currently?
Yeah, no. So, so...
And where was Ben? Had he gone travelling
so
or come back?
Ben had come out from travelling. We'd worked for about 6-7 months whilst at the bank. We'd bring... Probably shouldn't say it, but we'd bring 2 laptops in, and one would be to have a little play around on what we were doing with Dock and Bay, which was actually originally called Cabana for a while, but we had to change that last minute. And then, the other laptop we'd be doing our work, and did that for about 5-6 months. In that time, Ben had met someone off Tinder in Australia, funnily enough, and they started getting really close, even though they'd only met once. And he decided, I think it's time to move back to Australia. He was already kind of ready. He'd been here 7 years, and that sort of coincided. And that worried me. It was okay, if you're not here, this probably won't happen, right?
Big change at that stage.
And so the business was going. We'd got the product. We'd probably been doing it a couple of months. We were getting sales.
You're full time now?
No. Just selling it a couple of months. And then went back to Australia.
This week's review comes from the legend that is Matty Hazza. Titled Brilliant, it says, best new entrepreneur podcast I've listened to in ages. Get on this. So thank you, Matty, for the kind words. Really, really appreciate it. And if you want to leave your own review, please head over to iTunes now and submit a review. Make sure you leave your name as the author of the review so that we can give you a proper shout out. We really, really appreciate them.
I think sometimes with these things you just need to start fresh. I was setting up a new business. Me and my girlfriend at the time had broken up, and I was ready for something new. And I wasn't finding it in these other jobs in startups. I wasn't finding that thing I was passionate about and could go, right, that's what I want to do. Yeah. But I was really finding passionate, doing Dock and Bay and actually running that on the side. I was doing that every evening. I was living in a flat of 4, and they were always come in, and I'd just be on my laptop on the sofa. I just thought I need a change. I said to Ben, look, I've got a bit of money saved up. Why don't, obviously go back to Australia in a couple of months. I'll quit my job and I'll come and live there for 4 months, and we'll give this a go. Yeah. We'll give this a proper go. We'll properly brainstorm and create a strategy of what's next. So, again, put yourself in that corner, give it your all, I'll say, look, we can do it at the side of a desk, but if we don't give it our all, we're never going to be able to achieve stuff. Yeah. We can't go to any meetings at the moment. We can't talk to people during the day. There's only limits to what we can really do right now. Yeah. So then, I quit my job.
And were they selling at this point?
Yeah. So we started selling about August. Ben moved back about October, and then I moved in January. Okay. And then I said, look, I can quit my job, give it 4 months. If it hasn't started to take a bit of an upward turn, then we can reconsider, and we can, I'm sure I can go back into the corporate world that I don't want to go into, but if that has to happen,
you looked at the potential risk, and actually it was okay. It was a risk worth taking.
I had one of the most, I had quite an emotional conversation with my dad when I told him what I was doing, because he was really supportive. They'd actually given me a bit of money towards the start of the business, my parents, and they would always, but he asked to see me in London, and he said, I don't think quitting such a good job when you haven't really kicked off the business yet, when it hasn't really got moving, is a good move, and I think it will, it could jeopardize your career. And I remember turning to him and saying, well, how did you start up your business? Because he started up his business with his own dad, actually. I was like, did you not have to quit your job and take a risk? And he was like, yeah, no, I did, yeah. And I think, it'd been so long ago for him, but he'd sort of forgotten that. He was just looking out for me. I didn't judge him for it. He was just looking out for me as his son. And I just said to him, look, to the point we just said, I've never been as passionate about anything in my life, and I'm going. So, he sort of went fine. If that's the decision and you're that passionate about it, fine. And and then then off I went. So I just always thought like people always see that stuff as a risk, but that's just like, quitting a good job. I feel like that's what society tells you because actually you can go and walk. There's so many jobs, and you can go. If I want to go and walk into another corporate job at a similar salary, then you can.
It's funny,
or you
isn't
can often
it?
go back.
You do, yeah. It's like when you're. It's known, isn't it, that people value things more that they possess and they hold. So if they have a job, you feel like it's more valuable than if you didn't have that job. Yeah. And therefore your kind of perception of risk is skewed. Because you're dead right. Like why I was in a corporate job for 6 years, and absolutely, you feel like it'll be a risk to leave that. Yeah. But actually, when you like look at it very, very rationally, it's not, because you can go and get another one anyway.
Of course, at a similar.
And it's interesting. You gave yourself, so you kind of said 4 months. 4 months.
It's kind of that figure was almost based on how much savings I had to go and live in Australia. So I said I was renting my flat in London, and then moved over. But we gave ourselves 4 months and just figured, if I come back, then I can look at what's available. And often, they always say changing roles actually when you can increase your salary. It's when people don't know what your previous salary was, and you can go and push for more.
Yeah. So you can even
so
take the risk, and if it goes wrong, get more.
Could even be better,
Yeah. But why did it grow in passion? You said you never really identified a passion. You started this. Why did this really grab you? Because I think it was. I imagine you've had loads of ideas that but had you started some ideas?
I'd started one idea which my friends would laugh at, which it was to do with recruiting for people at camps. In like Canada, places like Canada. Yeah. And businesses like this existed, but they were very expensive. Like they'd take away like 50% of your salary. You never used to know about it.
Right.
And I was like, surely there's a better margin where you can still make good money from this, and you can provide maybe a slightly slicker service, like a more of a digital service,
and just less commission.
Yeah, but I was just looking at my own, and I started it and set up a Facebook group, and I got a few people applying, and I just had the camp that I used to working with me, but it's just hard on my own. I'm just not very good. I prefer to be around people, and I just wasn't pumping myself up.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm very much a person that like lives off like other people. So, I'm not one that likes to sit on my own on the sofa. Like I'd rather, if I'm going to be watching TV, I'd rather be watching it with someone, because I'd be talking to them.
Yeah.
So I definitely tried it, and I think I just couldn't get behind that because I didn't have someone to share it with. And for me, like the reason I got passionate about this is that I think I've realised I quite like to be in control, and this was finally giving me like full control over my life. Mm-hmm. And I'd never had it, and I just. Having that control over my life and being able to run and being able to be passionate about something that I've created and something that I have full like limitations on whether it's, can go anywhere. Yeah. Only I can affect that. And obviously Ben, but like, it's just really like, it was just,
you can stand behind it. You'd be proud of it.
Yeah, I was just proud, and I was proud of what we were creating. Like I was proud of like the designs we'd pulled together, and we'd agonized over colors on a computer screen that end up looking nothing like what comes out in material. And like, but it turns out we'd worked out some really nice colours that came out, and like, we were huge, and we still are. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist at all, and I wouldn't say I'm like some controlling person either. It's just I think it's in the work world. I want to be in control of my own life.
Yeah.
And the perfection stuff, but like in product, like we were just complete perfections about every part of the product and making sure we didn't release anything until it was like spot on or spot on to what we thought it was at the time. You realize a whole new wealth once you start producing in mass, but wealth of potential errors. But for us, we're just huge perfectionists on making sure it was great. And we have had a lot of comments of people saying, I've never seen a product with such attention to detail at such a low price. And that is because like everything has been like sort of like a lot of personal touch put into it, from the cheeky tone of the brand to what the brand's called to like the packaging to how it's all like comes together.
No, definitely, it tells. But how much of an importance do you think having a co-founder was then?
For me, extremely important. I wouldn't want to be honest. I don't think I could set up a business on my own because of just who I am. But I also wouldn't want to. Like, for me, it's all about sharing that experience and bouncing off someone and getting really excited about something with someone.
Yeah.
Because you need someone to share. For me, you need someone to share the ups and downs with. If you don't have that person, you go and share the ups with people like your friends, it sounds like you're gloating. You go and share the downs. No one wants to hear about all your downs every day.
Yeah, that's true.
It
is interesting as I speak to more people, and I've known loads of people that have started businesses, tried to start businesses, and it does seem to be the majority is with the co-founder. It's two people, because it's just like you said, you can actually bounce ideas off each other and just support each other throughout.
Exactly,
because otherwise you could just drop it. And there's also accountability as well, I think.
Of course, and you push each other on. You go, oh wow, they're working really hard. Right, I should be working really hard. Whereas you're your own limit other's.
Yeah.
So it's really good. At the times where we both have our ups and downs of we lose. You do have times where you almost need a little breather and you sort of tame down how much you're doing, but then what brings you back up is that the other one's working really hard at that point, and it sort of goes up and down like that.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's really important to have that person, because say you were like my best friend and I'm coming to you on a Wednesday going, oh, the towels haven't printed very well. You just be like, I don't really care. Do you know what I mean? So to have that person, otherwise you just got to have all those thoughts in your own head and it's just not as fun.
Yeah. Okay. You talked about manufacturing. You were very specific over everything that happened there. How easy or difficult did you find that initially? Getting your idea actually produced?
I'd say one of the most difficult parts was producing the items. So, we used Alibaba to find people.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's worth pointing out that when me and Ben started this, based on our past roles, we had no marketing experience, no design experience, no manufacturing experience, no retail experience.
Yeah.
No accounting experience. Literally every part of our business, apart from generalist stuff, we didn't really have an experience of. Ben had a bit of technical stuff, but even that Ben's learned a ton of. So, we were just Googling around, seeing how to find a good person on Alibaba, listening to podcasts. We basically just emailed, we just learned ways to look for good and bad manufacturers. Emailed about 15, ended up with 3 samples from different factories, and then just went with one that we were really happy with and also happened to be the best price.
Right.
So it was kind of a nice combo. Usually you have the happy one that's a really high price. So it was a nice combination for us. And then just went with it and just sort of hoped for the best at first. Kind of realised eventually that samples don't necessarily match production. You need to have really stringent inspections on productions, which we have now. But at the time it was just okay, you're done, send them over, and then sent them over, and a third of the shipment was had leaked onto itself.
Right. Yeah.
So
you got no QA. No
during the process, the print had gone on top of the white, so they were just looked. They sort of just they'd leaked everywhere, and so we got them, and we were oh, we've paid for all this now. We've just lost, I think that first ship was maybe 6,000-7,000. We just lost 2,500 of it, which is a lot of money for us at that time, especially to me. I'd put all my savings in, which was only about 2,500 at that point.
Yeah.
Plus, I think borrowed 3 off my parents. So it was scary times, but we were quite lucky, and I'm sure the manufacturer's happy they did, because the manufacturer did refund us for that, and that's not their normal process. And we actually had another issue on our second shipment just before they shipped it when we had an inspection, and we were we're not paying, so they stopped the shipment going out, and we missed the whole of Christmas. So our first Christmas we didn't have any product, so it was a bit frustrating. So that's especially why probably my dad was why are you quitting? You haven't sold anything in 2 months.
And what was your so when you did that, when you actually decided to quit and you then moved to Australia, what was your biggest doubt? What was your fears? Or if any?
I didn't have any at that point. You get more doubts as you grow bigger and there's more to lose. I didn't have, when you got nothing to lose, there's for me, I didn't have much to lose by
it was all
by the break.
Yeah,
I just took a very open mind to it and said, I can go back to my old life and my old job, and or whatever that might be, and that approach just allowed me to go to Australia and just pump me on. But for me, my biggest fear was not coming out of Australia with with some sort of success to ride on. My biggest fear was going back to work.
Okay.
That was my big fear. It wasn't losing the money, fine. If I lose the money trying something I loved.
It was finding that thing.
Losing the money being, I felt I was doing something I really loved and was like literally getting up for every day, which I just almost never had. So for me, it was nothing to do with that. It was nothing to do with the risk. It wasn't even necessarily to do with failure. It was about failure would equal going back to work.
Yes.
If failure meant you then had money in the bank, you go try something else. Fine. Not everyone fears. I think, of course, I fear failure to an extent because you're very proud of what you've built up. But it was definitely that fear of going back into the world that I was stepping away from.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, you mentioned Alibaba, that's where you kind of initially sourced. Now, obviously, with the growth of Alibaba, the accessibility of getting hold of manufacturers now, there's so many people that are doing it. It is a huge shift, doesn't it, in the last, 5 or so years, where so many people now are going through that process, getting samples, getting an idea, and all of a sudden you can go from an idea to something in your hand. But how did you then transition that from a failed sample to an actual brand? Because it's progressed so far from that, hasn't it?
Sometimes I think the answer to that is I don't know. I don't know how it's happened in many ways. I think I attribute a lot of our success to two things, and one of them is luck. And being in the right place and being one of the first people in the world to realize what's quite a simple gap in the market. It's just recreating a product that was already out there. And actually rolling it out as a brand, not just an add-on product to your company. And two was the fact that just my friends and family got behind it so much and just spread. I just think word of mouth was just really powerful when we started. Two things like that. They're sort of I talk about those as sort of external factors more in terms of what helps us create a brand. But I mean, in terms of actually directly what we did, the big thing was Amazon, and we can't question what Amazon did for us as a business. We released when we first released, we released on we created our own website in the UK and we released on Amazon. And Amazon just took off quite early. We played the game of the algorithm and we got high up and we got good reviews. And then we've just stuck up there really. We spent money on ads and things like that, but it allowed us to create revenue because we were getting access to millions of customers without having to spend that much money because the customers were coming to Amazon. So they then learn about our brand on there. So we did it in the UK, we did it in the US, we actually took off in the US and we're one of the top selling towels quite quickly on there, and still is one of our biggest revenue channels, just Amazon USA. And it allowed us to build a company because it allowed us to have money in our pockets. So from there we were able to almost build more of the brand from that point, because the thing with Amazon is very much product. It's not a place to showcase a brand.
No,
they are making it more now that you can edit it and you can display out the page and you can make it look quite cool, personalize it a lot more.
But still, the majority of people don't even read the description.
Of course, and the personalized bit is at the bottom of the page, so you still got to be scrolling down, which no one does. You read those 4 or 5 points at the top, and you buy or you don't buy.
Exactly.
It's all about imagery. It's all about just looking slick, which we focused a lot on. Packaging really helped us. Colors really helped us. But it created a foundation for us, and it allowed us to then go, right, we've got a bit of money on the bank, but we want to focus on our website as well. We want to get people into a place where we can tell our story. And that never has and still doesn't mean let's take sales away from Amazon. It just means let's give people another channel, a preferable channel in a way, because we get to tell our story, we get to learn more about the customer. But we're not trying to. Amazon's just part of our business. It's just a channel with our business, just like retail stores are and all those sort of things. We're still going to spend a load of money on ads on Amazon because it does really well for us. It was just to create that other channel and really start talking about our brand and who we are and where we've come from. And people really bought into that. The people that the ads we do every day and the social we put out, we get a lot of engagement of people because we're very down to earth, we're cheeky, we're just trying to be fun, and all our customer service is very friendly. We've created this sort of place where people want to talk with us, like with their friends. It's like almost a cult that they've got like 5 or 6 different towels, and they want to tell the world about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's an awesome thing that you never like. I wouldn't say we set out to create it. We just set out to create something really down to earth and relatable to everyone, like to literally everyone. Yeah. And I feel like we have really started to achieve that, which is really nice.
Are you seeing more sales now? Well, I'm sure you are. But are you seeing sales away from Amazon onto your site, or just?
So Amazon's continued to grow, like to like levels with still surprises actually.
Yeah.
Because we haven't done that much more. We just still spend on ads. We have our listing there. It's in the same sort of position it always was. But our website's grown like 600% this year. So we have definitely seen a huge growth in our website, but that doesn't mean we've seen a down. It doesn't mean it's like swapped out. We haven't seen, because of that, we haven't seen a downturn in Amazon.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been in terms of our website, the growth has been insane this year. It's sort of taken us by surprise and has really allowed us to grow to an even bigger level than we expected, really.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So we went to Australia.
Yeah.
Where did you travel? Did you stay in Australia? Did you go around?
I just stayed in Sydney for most of it, and then my sister came over for a few weeks, and we travelled up the East Coast. And then at the end of the trip, me and Ben did our first. So I stayed in Bondi near Ben's house.
Yeah.
I'd got my own flat and stuff. Stayed in a few hostels, met some people. So you stayed in the hostels at first so that I met some people that I knew there.
Yeah,
so that I knew people for 4 months I was there. Had an awesome experience jumping in like Bondi Beach, jumping in the sea every morning at 7 a.m. before like me and Ben caught up. It was just like a lovely experience. But also happy to come home, happy to go back to the UK and focus the business where, the UK was one of the biggest markets, and it started to get a bit of momentum. Not perfect amount, but had something to go on.
Enough for you to...
Yeah. And so what we actually did is on the way back, we went and visited the manufacturer for the first time. So Ben, not the way back for Ben, but I stopped via China to come home.
Yeah.
And then that was one of the most sort of incredible experiences to go and see that world. And it's still the manufacturer we use today.
Interesting. And what did travel teach you that time out? For me, it was the first time I'd sort of gone and done something on my own. Usually when I've always travelled with friends. So like when I did 7 months, I travelled with friends. And I think it did just make me realise that, friends that I have back home are still like, friends and the family I have back home are still the most important to me. So it made me realise that, you can be anywhere in the world, but I kind of want to be around my friends as much as possible, because that's, friends, family, all that. Like, it's important.
It's like one of the most important parts of my life. So I think for me, it taught me one, that I was hugely passionate about what we were doing, and I was like really getting behind it now. And I was keen to I was getting agitated because I wanted to go home and focus. And then 2, like I definitely knew that sort of London is still like my favourite city in the world, however much I travel. So I kind of want to do travel. I think I always thought I wanted to live abroad, and actually I think now I just want to travel lots, but stay in the same location.
Yeah. Okay. So that was actually all in quite a short space of time, really, wasn't it? That's not how much.
Yes, that's like, so we're about a year on now.
So yeah,
from the moment we started,
all that growth, only a year on. So you've seen some huge growth. So what was it like today then? Life at Dock and Bay.
Yeah. So.
I'm interested to know what's your day-to-day look like.
Yeah.
What's a typical routine?
Yeah, I think quite a lot of people always ask me that. I don't think any person that has their own business has a typical day-to-day. Like, I mean, what has changed for me in the last year is like, I'm not in the office as much anymore. I'm always at meetings, whether I'm meeting, I don't know, yesterday I went to visit the warehouse. The day before, Amazon came in because they wanted to film like a fun little documentary advert on us. Some days I might go and visit our investors, or I might be looking at meeting new affiliate programs. I don't know. There's like I'm just trying to point out the just randomness of my day now. Okay. And I think, I'm currently we're doing hiring. So we're hiring for a new senior marketing manager. So I spend a lot of time doing little phone interviews and interviewing people and trying to push that out, speaking to recruiters. So it's really a mix of anything. So I mean, now we have in our team, we have myself, we have a senior designer, and we have a customer, it's called Sophie, and then we have a customer service girl called Naomi. Ben's based in Australia. Ben's wife actually does a lot of work with us in terms of like our photography, our media. So she's quite a big part of the team. Then we have two sort of work from home staff based in UK and USA, just to help with us with a lot of the admin and customer service stuff that Naomi can't cover. So then we've got this plan to grow to one more, and then hopefully by this time next year, team of 4, should be, if all was going to plan, team of 6, team of 8 maybe. So we've just got to. I find next year is a big one for me, because it's, I think, working out how we can continue that growth is a nice little challenge, but it's quite daunting to see because we've had such good growth this year. It's like, can we do that again? Yeah. It's like that. When's it going to plateau, kind of thing? So I think we've got a lot of thinking to do about what next year will look like. Yeah.
Okay. And for anyone then that's like right back at that start stage, and they are wanting a business, as you say, I haven't got the idea, what would your advice be? I
think for me it is like, from a personal perspective, and it all depends who you are, but finding that person that you can work with, and not forcing it, giving it a go with a few different people, and just, I think when it like clicks and it works, and you actually are both getting passionate behind it, and like, it's when you sort of make each other better, you force each other on, you add value to each other. Me and Ben are very different people, so like the stuff we're passionate about is quite different, and that ensures that, one, we add 2 completely different bits of value to the business, and 2, it stops us having too much confrontation about stuff, because the stuff we're each passionate about is separate. So it's only really the small amount of stuff that overlaps, where we sort of both have a big passion about it, when we'll have more of a discussion about it. But for us, we've always gone really well, and we sort of very much just take everything that comes, and make sure we don't ever let it get ahead of us, or we just kind of try and keep it all grounded and down to earth, like the brand. So I think definitely if you can find that right person is very good. And then I think at next stage, I always say, just like the small things, I think it's so good to get behind, like just silly stuff, like coming up with a brand name and like getting passionate about a brand name. So you can start to talk to your friends and go, I'm thinking about doing this X business called Y. And like, I think that's just the small things like that, coming up with a logo. There's websites like Upwork where you can go and hire a designer to do a logo for like $50 or whatever that might be. And it's just something to get behind. And then another thing, like registering on Company's House, like it's kind of just making it real. If you start to have the idea, then and you start to think, I might try this. I feel like just making it real can really just take you to that next step. Just the really small things, because it's so daunting when you start. It's like when you've got a big, on a small scale, it's like a university when you've got coursework or a dissertation to be in by April or whatever. When you first sit down on a dissertation, you just look at the page for like 5 hours. So and then you only start to get a bit more pumped when you've written the title, and then you start to write the first paragraph, and then things start to move. I think just having those little baby things to get behind and just make it feel a bit real can be quite impactful.
No, I totally agree. Okay, awesome. Where can people find your brand, your products?
Everywhere, hopefully.
Plug away.
dockandbay.com, and then that's DOCKANDBAY, and then you've got Amazon, you've got ASOS, Selfridges. Hopefully, anywhere you look soon.
Perfect. Okay, nice one. Well, thanks a lot. I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.